Good morning, collective. Welcome to my channel. Alright, so as I was sitting down to do the morning collective message, the one that I usually type out and put on the community page, so much information came out to me that I ended up with a pretty big spread of oracle cards out here on my table, and I felt like it would be unfair to you guys to just put it out in a 2 to 3 paragraph, short recorded transmission that you read, because there's so much. So, what I did was I started the message with the wild unknown archetypes, and as I was shuffling the deck, the card, the mask, apocalypsis, and the vision all hit the table. And now I have notes on my tablet, but right now I'm just kind of winging it. The tablet's charging, so that's probably a message for somebody that you've just been winging life. Not going with the flow, just kind of wandering aimlessly with no real intention or direction. Okay. Anyway, so I'm looking at the mask, I'm looking at the vision, and what I'm seeing with these two cards is the liminal space, the threshold between the physical realm and the void. I'm sensing and getting the impression that this is like the final threshold of awakening before enlightenment is attained. And throughout our lifetime, we live many lifetimes. We have past, present, and future lives that exist within the timeline that we're on. And I get the impression that this is like the end of the final awakening. And I'm seeing the image of a star imploding on itself. Interesting. Alright, so while I'm pulling the cards for this message, I'm even now as I'm reading, looking back on my notes. Oh, okay, so this is important. So looking back on my notes, and I'm hearing the song, it's playing in my head, Cold by Crossfade. And it's interesting because the opening line to that song is looking back at me while I'm looking back at my notes. I see that I never really got it right. I never stopped to think of you. I'm always wrapped up in things I cannot win. For some reason, this song is a constant reminder in the back of my head of all of the shit that we go through during these awakenings. Where, we're asked to hold the vision, and we're asked to have faith, and we're asked to use our discernment. But somehow we just don't get it right. So the mask. The mask is about, in this reading, hiding our pain to survive. like putting that mask on so that nobody can see what lies underneath. It's the parts of ourselves that we show the world. The crafted identities, the personas that we wear. The personas that we wear just for social belonging. It's not being destroyed here. It's just being peeled away to reflect and reveal the authentic self that's underneath. The mask isn't bad. Nothing is truly bad. Nothing is truly good. But when that mask becomes a prison, it's time to shed it so that you can move forward. The Apocalypse card. This is the card of truths being unveiled. It's so powerful that they dissolved the structures that upheld the illusion. Basically, it's the Tower card, but in archetype form. So paired with the mask, it's as though the truth of who we are shatters the illusion of who we're pretending to be. And the vision, you know, we're looking at in the center of this card, the mountain card. And I see a lot of splits between these three cards here. There's a separation between the void and enlightenment and the material realm. Apocalypse stands as the threshold between enlightenment and what we're going through right now. So on the deck split, so after these three cards came out, at the deck split came the card Agape. And that's the divine force that burns but doesn't consume. It's what draws us through the apocalypse and out from the underworld. It's the love that accepts us when we're raw, exposed, and grieving the loss of who we once were. And this card says you are worthy. This card, Agape, is the unconditional cosmic love that we're meant to step into in our enlightenment phase. Loving with no condition. Now, at the bottom of the deck, we've got the card, the Hunter, the Pilgrim, and the Destroyer. And what I'm getting is, because the Hunter card, again, is more of that coming out of the dark into the light, that Hunter card, to me, is representing the collective's focused intention. It's like the Chariot card. It's the energy of pursuit. It's the seeking of your soul truth, coming out of the darkness into the light. The Pilgrim, this is the sacred journey. This is the Fool. This is the card of the hero's journey. It's the journey of becoming. When you leave what is known and familiar to answer a call. And then finally is the Destroyer, and this isn't an evil card. The Destroyer is the gatekeeper of thresholds. What I'm seeing is collective standing on this threshold of being still stuck in paradigm, and that paradigm dissolving, and you're getting ready to step over and into pure enlightenment. The destroyer is not destroying the masks that we're wearing, but it's destroying the illusion of the mask. It's destroying that old identity, because now collective right now is identifying with some kind of mask, some kind of wound that they're protecting themselves from. And we don't do this consciously. This is a very unconscious act. It's a very unconscious act. And we're learning about that agape love. So, like, we feel it. We know it's there, but we don't know what to do with it. We're holding that vision, but we don't know what to do. So I pulled out the energy oracle next, and I did just put my tablet away because now I'm starting to remember the message. So I pulled out the energy oracle next, and the two cards that came out were Angel of Balance and Healer of the Ages. We have more balance. This angel, she is standing in front of the Great Pyramids of Giza, and there is a crescent moon. To me, it's a waning crescent. Like, we're going from full moon to new moon, and it hasn't quite reached new moon yet. And Healer of the Ages, there's a Christ-like figure standing there with an open crown, an open heart, an open throat, and he's holding flames in both of his hands. Healer of the Ages, more balance. More balance. The deck split showed caring connections. Of course, I'm looking at this card like we've got a balance of the internal masculine and feminine, and stepping into the balance of these roles within our lives. And why it's important is because at the bottom of the deck, we've got the card Indecision and the card Contract. This is an intentionally profound moment for the collective. There's something here about the let them mantra. About letting go of judgment. And the impression, hold on please, 9:44 on the timer. Okay, so the impression that I have got from this reading is we've got a threshold where we think that we're loving from an unconditional space. We think that we are discerning without judgment, but we're still kind of like trapped in that paradigm because there's not a full equalization of our energy. There's still some imbalance somewhere, and it has to do with this mask that we're wearing. And I think, well, actually, I don't think, I know. You have to remove this mask completely and really unabashedly, truly, truly, truly be your authentic self. Now, for me, my authentic self was coming out into the world and being allowed to love, being allowed to be who I was born to be. And that was a creature who absolutely loved everything, because who I was born into this world as, who my soul remembered itself being, I was not allowed to be. I was scrutinized, I was taken advantage of, and my love was it was weaponized. My love was weaponized from a very young age. I've spent a lot of time being angry because why did it take 40 years? Why did my journey have to reflect Christ's journey? But it was all for a reason. He wandered for 40 days in the desert. I wandered for 40 years. And I was pissed off that It took so long to actually wake up. Yes, yes, yes. This whole world is inverted. Yes, this creation has been bastardized, and we as human beings, our souls, we've been lied to for so long. And it was intentional. And yes, we should be exposing the darkness, because that which is in the dark is exposed by the light. But there's a lot more to it. People are forgetting. One, I'm going to say this again. I already used it as a comment in somebody's video this morning, but why? Why do humans always have to put meaning to everything? It's curious to me, because in the book Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, when they were building the supercomputer and the supercomputer was ready to go, the humans and the elders all came with a question for the supercomputer, and they asked, what is the meaning of life? And the answer was simply 42. 42 breaks down to 6. 6 is about harmony and love and balance and restoring goodness in our lives. 42 is the number of the Magdalene, the divine feminine rising, the dragon priestess, the one who remembers that our shadow and our higher self are one and the same, and we have to learn the balance between the light and the dark so that we can use the dark to our advantage. It's learning to carry that sword of assertion without aggression, but using our trauma, using all the bad shit that happened to us in our lives, using that pain, using it to heal not just ourselves, but other people. We're no longer making decisions from the dark. Now we're making decisions from the light. However, we're using the dark as experience to make those decisions. So I'm looking at these two cards with the caring connections, and then at the bottom of the deck is the card indecision. And again, she's standing at a crossroads, perfectly split. Which way do I go? And the card contract. Contract reminds me of the justice card in the tarot deck. She's like, it's like blind justice. We have to learn the difference between judgment, discernment, and love with and without condition. Many of you are still walking through life passing judgment and not using your discernment. When we are using our discernment, we're doing it from a space where there is no judgment. It's not this or that. It's this and that. We have to live by the law of assumption and assume that everything is true. Without judgment. Without judgment, and that's where true discernment lies. We have to walk through life in a radical acceptance of everything. Everything. Everyone's feelings are valid. It doesn't matter if it's not true for your life. If it's not true for your life, it is true for that person that you're talking to's life. That's the final mask that has to come down. Is when we really, it starts with ourselves. And then it expands out into the universe. When we stop judging our lives and when we start loving ourselves unconditionally. It's really, really, really when we step into our power and our enlightenment, and when our gifts, all the clairs, all those clairs are nothing but our 5 senses heightened. All of them. That's just the pineal gland integrating into the rest of our sensory system. When we heal our nervous system from all of the past bullshit is really when those clairs come online. For me, it all starts with some kind of clairsentience, clair-knowing. Knowing that what I did was wrong and I need to fix it. Knowing that what you did to me was wrong, but it's not my job to fix you. That's that radical acceptance. Loving someone so much that you see the wrong, but you love them. So now you're using your discernment. You're using your discernment to see that that person is just another broken person working their way toward this path themselves. That we're all born into this world with a contract, and how we push through that contract is ultimately our choice. So to wrap this up, I pulled some Intuitive Whispers cards, and what came out was, you're more powerful than you know. And I immediately heard Jesus say, these things I do, you will do greater. You don't have to move mountains. You just have to find the doorway to step through it, because the easiest way through it, the easiest way is to just go through it. Not around it, not over it, not digging under it. We can't bury or circumvent our feelings. We actually have got to feel them in order to get to this point. And the card at the bottom of the deck is throat release. $12 is the number of divine judgment in the Bible. The 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 apostles, the 12. And 12 relates back to spirit, because it reduces to 3, and 3 is about creativity. 3 is the ascended masters. 3 has to do with our internal world. So this morning's message is about learning to bypass judgment, bypass conditions, and just allow people to be people. It's time to start seeing their pain so that you can look through their eyes. You gain a higher perspective on their contract and what they're going through, and let it go. Let it go. This is your ego's apology to your soul. And the creator within you is just asking you to meld the two. And I did it with 4 minutes left. Woohoo! All right, collective. I love you, and I will catch you on the next reading. Bye.